Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Huge thanks for all your messages over the last few days as we blast through that 300 episode barrier. But there's no time to bathe in glory on my watch as we got back-to-back guests lined up this week. Now today I'm going to interview Clint Oram. Now he's the co-founder and CMO at SugarCRM. Many of you will know that is the customer relationship platform which is best known for helping people build better business relationships through technology. However, they recently released something called Hint, and that focuses on relationship intelligence by using AI. And that's taking things to a whole new level. Essentially, Sugar are using this as a building block for future relationship intelligence product offerings, which are all going to dive much deeper into AI. Now, Clint Oram recently said, "I have a profound belief that business is about two people helping one another achieve their goals. One person has a problem that needs to be solved, a customer. The other person has a solution to that problem, your employee. So let's connect them together." Clint is a self-confessed tech and sci-fi geek, so I'm genuinely looking forward to this conversation today. So buckle up and hold on tight, because I'm going to beam your ears stateside so we can speak with Clint Oram, the co-founder and CMO of SugarCRM. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Clint. Now, to most people, you won't need an introduction at all, but can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Name's Clint Oram, started SugarCRM in 2004. I guess I would characterize myself as a CRM nerd. I've spent my entire career in the CRM space and just wildly enthusiastic about how to help companies build better relationships with their customers, and that's what we've been doing here at SugarCRM for the past 13 years, helping companies build better business relationships.
It's great to hear that you've still got that enthusiasm and passionate for everything that you do there. I mean, because you were one of the original architects and developers of the Sugar application and helped found Sugar way back in 2004. And you also have 25 years in the software development industry and held senior roles at Epiphany, Octane Software and Hewlett-Packard, just to name but a few. But today, SugarCRM is incredibly successful. And I know that you've got your sights set on taking on the CRM giant Salesforce.com. But before we go there, can you tell me a little more about where it all began, your vision, and the path to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my CRM career, kind of stumbled into it, to be quite frank. 1999, I was working at Hewlett-Packard, thinking to myself, I need to be at a startup. It's exciting. It's the dot-com boom. And I landed in a professional services team at a young CRM startup called Octane Software, and I was doing implementations of CRM software for that company. And as time moved forward, I started really kind of recognizing that first generation CRM software back in the late 90s was very focused on helping companies automate customer tracking, information tracking. It was really much more about transactional automation than actual relationship development. And so that really became my vision, my dream, is to build a CRM company that's focused on helping build a relationship with your customers, not just be proficient at executing a transaction with your customer. And efficiency is important. It's certainly a foundation of a good relationship between a company and a customer, but it's not everything. And so that's where my attention and my interest has been over the years.
There's a lot of talk around using technology to create digital experiences, and indeed the importance of the customer experience too this year. But you guys have been doing this for years now, and I mean, it's my understanding that teams use Sugar to make smarter, faster, and better decisions. And that's because it gives them more of a contextual intelligence that they need to see a complete customer view and also anticipate opportunity. But for anyone tuning in today that are learning about what you guys do for the very first time, can you offer an overview of what Sugar is and ultimately what makes it unique from so many other solutions out there?
You bet. Customer relationship management software, what we do here at Sugar, is multifaceted in nature. So at its core, it's an address book of everybody that you do business with. And if it was just that, well, then all you need is your iPhone, of course. But it goes beyond that to help you keep track of what you're working on with your customers. It helps you keep track of what you're supposed to be doing next with your customers. and really helps keep yourself organized and managed. And that's the core of all CRM systems. If you look out there in the marketplace today, there's over 100 different CRM solutions designed for companies of different sizes and different industry verticals and such. But what really makes a CRM solution stand out is when you go beyond that efficiency management of keeping track of who you're doing business with and what you need to be doing for them next, and really moves to the next stage where it becomes a relationship management tool where it tells you something you didn't already know about your customer, and it tells you what to do next with your customer. And that's ultimately, I think, the grand vision of all CRM systems should be very much focused on how does it become a personal assistant. Guide me through my day. Tell me what to do next. Tell me something I didn't already know. And at that point, it becomes an invaluable part of how you keep yourself not just organized, but how you build those relationships we're talking about. And that's what we do here at SugarCRM. And along the way, the technology has evolved and become even easier to allow you to build relationships, not with dozens of people, but hundreds, even thousands of people, and helps keep you in contact with those people. Really keeping focused on the core facet of business that I think is most important, which is that value exchange. I'm giving something you of value, you're giving me of something of value. Let's build a relationship, let's do business together.
Now, talking about that value aspect there, one of the big reasons I invited you on the show today was after I heard about your new relationship intelligence product, and that's called Hint. So can you tell the listeners a little bit more about this? Because it feels, to me at least, like a huge step forward for the future of relationship intelligence, because it's going deeper into AI territory, isn't it?
That's exactly right. And Hint is an exciting launch for us here at Sugar across multiple lines. Not only is it just an exciting new capability for our customers, but it also represents an entirely new product line for us as we look at expanding out what it means to be a CRM provider in today's age. We look at it not just about relationship management, about relationship intelligence. And what that means is, at its core, Hint is a data service that gives you key insights about who your customers are. They're not just their phone numbers and email addresses and such. So all you have to do is enter in an email address for a prospect or a customer that you're working with, and you get back all this rich information about the customer, where they went to school, what their degree is in, where they've worked in the past, what their current, where they're working today, their current title, all this information about them. But to be quite frank, that social profile of your customer is just the first step, because what you want to do on top of that is actually drive engagement with that person. What do I need to do next to build a relationship and really capture that person's interest and let them know that you're thinking about them, and not just thinking about them in the abstract, but think about how you can deliver value to them. And so this is where we've got our product roadmap laid out for the next, easily the next 6 months, but frankly the next several years ahead of us, as we invest more and more in putting the right alerts, the right news, the right suggestions, the right suggested email templates, putting all this at your fingertips so that as changes happen around you with your customer, things that you may not even necessarily be aware of happening until Hint tells you that it's happened, you're then given the exact right next step with your customer to build that valuable relationship. So yeah, that's Hint. That's what we're doing. It's pretty darn exciting.
Absolutely. And you mentioned there that it is at the heart of your product roadmap. So I'm curious, how do you see that relationship intelligence and indeed marketing technology as a whole evolving over the next few years, and how important do you think it will ultimately be for businesses, or equally those that don't get involved with it as well?
Well, it's an interesting world ahead of us in that, at its core, technology is all about helping you better leverage your time, right? So the whole idea of why do we all carry a smartphone in our pocket? Why do we all leverage that technology on a daily basis? Because it just helps us be more efficient with our time, get more value out of our time, and that's what we're looking to do here at Sugar, and what we're seeing with the investments in artificial intelligence as a whole is how do I leverage technology to be that personal assistant to me? And quite frankly, I told you I was a CRM nerd first. Well, I'm a sci-fi nerd second. I like I like to think about the future. I read science fiction books all the time, And it's pretty interesting where we think about the world ahead of us of how exactly artificial intelligence will complement our daily routine, and as it frees us up to do more, what is that more that we do as we offload mundane and routine tasks to our artificial intelligence assistants. It's an exciting world ahead of us and lots of different possibilities. But at its core, my personal belief is that we're going to be enabling people to be more effective than ever with their time, and manage more relationships than ever, and be more interconnected as a society than we've ever been in the past.
And as a sci-fi guy, you're going to be pretty sure that you're not going to accidentally switch on Skynet or enable Skynet to become self-aware, aren't you?
Oh, I follow Elon Musk, and certainly that's the concerns he's putting out there. I personally believe much more in a utopian Star Trek future than a dystopian Skynet future. I think the practical reality will somewhere in between, and it's certainly our responsibility as technologists to guide us in the right direction.
I couldn't agree more. But you guys really are leading the way in this field. But I'm curious again, because many businesses are probably struggling at the moment to make sense of it all, or the direction that it's heading. So what do you think businesses can do to actually prepare for that AI-centric world, which is inevitable, isn't it?
It certainly is inevitable. And what's the timeline? Boy, if my crystal ball was that perfect, well, we'd be having a different conversation. But certainly over the course of the next couple of years ahead of us, we're going to be going through a rapid shift from talking about it to doing it. I kind of describe, let's do an analogy here. So artificial intelligence as a technology set has been around literally for decades, right? And it was back in 1942 that Isaac Asimov came up with his first four books in this space, and he defined the 3 laws of robotics. So as a society, we've been thinking about artificial intelligence for a very long time, and many of the algorithms and core technology components have been there since the 60s. What's new today, of course, is data at scale, right? So as we think about big data and Internet of Things and the ability to collect social profile information, as I just described, that data at scale is what's really necessary to train these algorithms. And then, of course, compute horsepower is just, we got Moore's Law in effect, right? We got cloud computing in effect. We got our smart devices. Being able to put that compute technology at your fingertips, it's just becoming more and more real every day. So it's all happening around us, and I would describe that the artificial intelligence industry is probably somewhere around what I would say 2005 compared to the mobile technology world. So remember the mobile phones that you had in 2005 and the devices that kept you busy. They were useful, right? They were certainly a big part of your life. But when Apple came out with the iPhone in 2008, it was a game changer, wasn't it? Just an absolute game changer. So I would describe that we're somewhere between 2005 and 2008. And as we've launched the new Hint product, my goal is to make that time horizon come right in front of your nose and really help you build a better business relationship. Just as simple as that. Be that personal assistant for you.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Apple transition there, because I clearly remember having a Nokia N95 at the time. And when the iPhone came out, it just blew everything out of the water. But equally, I always remember chatting to a CEO who said to me that a touchscreen will never replace his BlackBerry, for emailing, because it's just not going to catch on. And we all know how that happens.
Here's my prediction. Could you ever imagine not having a rectangular device in your hand with a touchscreen?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to imagine that today. The form factor that defines the smartphone that you have today and everything that you get out of it, can you envision a world where that device just goes away? Well, I can, right? I kind of describe the smartphone of today as much like the pocket watch of yesterday, right? When the pocket watch was a hot new thing back in the 1800s, everybody had one, and you couldn't imagine your life without one until the wristwatch came along. And that's what we see ahead of us. I see the compute power not only getting smaller, but fitting into other form factors, and ultimately just kind of fading away, such that, that I think that big challenge that we have in today's world right now, just from a social perspective, is so many of us have our noses stuck in our phones, right? You've seen those commercials or videos or or even artwork that describes a society of all of us with our nose stuck in the phone as a bad thing. Well, one, I'll make the analogy. 50 years ago, everybody had their nose stuck in a newspaper. Yeah. But realistically, I think the device is going to go away, and that we're going to be leveraging a combination of smaller devices, maybe built into your wristwatch, as well as implants, quite frankly. But, like I said, I'm a sci-fi nerd. I spend a lot of time thinking about this world ahead of us. And I think for me, the technology is just becoming more and more real every day. And what's really exciting is thinking through what the social norms are coming ahead of us. For instance, the Hint product that we just released, awesome new technology. You have every one of your business contacts information at your fingertips. Well, how do you make sure that doesn't come off creepy in a phone call or a face-to-face meeting with your customer, right? Just being able to throw out, oh, I see that you went to Cal Poly. That's fantastic. My kid goes to Cal Poly today. Oh, how'd you know I went to Cal Poly? Oh, I've got your whole social profile right in front of me as we're talking. For those of us that may be a little older, that seems awkward. But if you're a millennial, that's normal. So the social norms and those generational-based social norms, it's going to be really fascinating to see how it plays out here. I think what was unleashed with the VCR back in the 80s and then accelerated forward with mobile technology and then the smartphone, it's just going to keep changing faster.
Yeah, and as a man of a certain age, I must admit I find it incredibly exciting. I'm quite grateful that I've been able to see it completely evolve over the last 30 years, and I just think it's so exciting where it's heading next. For me, I think voice is the game changer, our own unique voice, because at the moment we need those screens, we need to be tapping away at it, but once you suddenly switch to your voice to get everything that you need, then you can maybe switch to any device that's anywhere in your surroundings. So it'd be interesting where it heads.
Yeah, it still seems it's got some room for improvement. I know I've said some unkind things to Siri at a few points as she comes back and says something that had nothing to do with my request to her. So we've still got some work ahead of us. Yeah. But I think the amazing thing is the amount of convenience that's coming in front of us. But I also think it's important, life shouldn't just be about convenience. It, becomes somewhat trite at that point. Yeah. It's really about, building that relationship with the people that you interact with, whether it's through business or your friends network or whatever the case may be. And that's frankly, my view is we're freeing up people to build more valuable relationships than ever before. And I think that's really exciting. And also I might throw out in the near term, voice is probably a little bit of a short-term thought process. You think about implants in the future and direct mental control of your devices. That's not necessarily solely the realm of science fiction. People are working on a lot of these technologies here that I think, not necessarily in the next 2 or 3 years, but our kids are going to have a completely different world ahead of us when it comes to interacting with that technology.
Fantastic. Oh, I could talk to you about this all night. But we do have other things to cover, and another topic that will be huge next year in particular over here in Europe is GDPR. Now, at the moment, there's a lot of confusion and uncertainty over exactly what it will mean for businesses, but fines of 4% of worldwide turnover, not profit, could hit many companies with a big wake-up call,
doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, are you finding that your clients are nervous about GDPR, and how are you advising them at the moment?
In general, I think there's certainly a heightened level of awareness and anxiety around it, given the very point that you made in terms of the penalties of not paying attention to it. But we've got a lot of customers. Most of our customers are multinational in nature. Been doing business in countries like Germany for years, and a lot of the compliance aspects of GDPR are not necessarily new, especially for countries like France and Germany. What's new there is compliance in terms of just normal day-to-day operations with your customers. What's new is needing to be able to report on it with clarity and accuracy on a moment's notice, and then being able to not just report on it in an audit, but to also be able to communicate back to your customers when they ask to make sure that you've done updates to the information. So from a day-to-day operation perspective, it's business as usual for many companies that have already been operating in Europe. The new piece is the audit and compliance, and that's actually an awesome spot for SugarCRM because our whole system keeps track of every interaction with the customer, every request from a customer, and that audit trail that we just talked about that you need to be able to provide to the government based upon request or to a customer based upon request. That's a one-click export out of SugarCRM. So suddenly we find ourselves in a position at Sugar of being a key technology in enabling companies to show that they're in compliance with their business practices with their customers. And that's actually been a bit of an opportunity for us to help our customers get ready faster than they had thought they would be able to.
So what's next for SugarCRM? I mean, how far are you from challenging Salesforce for their title? Because it's something I do read a lot about you. It's always linked with you guys and Salesforce.
Yeah, we compete against them every day. Every single one of our customers that we sign up at some point in time looked at and evaluated Salesforce. They might have looked at and evaluated another CRM solution. So every day that we close a deal and we're closing business just continuously, we have beat Salesforce for that customer, and that's, I think, just an exciting place for us to be. Personally, I'll thank Marc Benioff for putting a lot of attention on the industry as a whole. He's a great marketer, and he's really done a fantastic job of helping the marketplace as a whole understand the value of CRM. But we've got a very different perspective and view here at Sugar. First and foremost, we're just focused on customer relationship management. It's in our name. This is what we do. We're all about CRM. And I would argue that Salesforce is thinking a lot more about how they become the next Oracle in the cloud or Microsoft in the cloud. If you look at their recent acquisitions, they're moving beyond CRM and they're doing business applications as a whole. And frankly, in my opinion, losing focus on the CRM space as we look at their recent announcements in their core technology there. Secondly, I think it's really important the type of business that you choose to invest your time with, and that's kind of the core message of customer relationship management. And our customers love working with us. In fact, there's a recent customer satisfaction survey done by PC Magazine where they actually went out and polled their readers on Reader's Choice Award for the CRM category, and we came out on top above everybody else, on top of Salesforce, Microsoft, other CRM vendors. We came out clearly as the number one inside of the PC Magazine review of the best CRM vendors out there, and that's because our customers really like doing business with us. And I find that to be a bit of a terrible irony in the CRM space, that some of the most predatory software companies I think I've ever run across, Siebel Systems, Oracle, and I'll even put Salesforce in that category. Some of their business practices are and how they interact with their customers, I fundamentally don't agree with. And I just find it ironic that an industry that's designed to teach people how to build better customer relationships has a history of not necessarily doing it. And that's one of the ways that we stand out. And lastly, we just focus on delivering value to our customers day in, day out, and it's our goal to turn every one of the employees at a customer's business into a customer expert. And that's what they do with Sugar.
Well, it certainly seems there are more opportunities on their horizon than challenges, which can only be a great thing. But before I let you go, can you point the listeners in the direction of where they can find out more information or even contact a member of your team about anything that we've spoken today?
Come learn more at SugarCRM.com. That's a fantastic place to get started in your education about Sugar CRM. I'd also like to point out that in September 25th and 26th, we've got our annual user conference, SugarCon, in San Francisco, California, and invite anybody to come learn more about Sugar CRM at that user conference. It's a great place to meet all of us and get plugged into the Sugar community.
Excellent. I love how you said that. It's a great place to meet because it's all about relationships. And I always say technology works best when it brings people together. And your whole business is about building relationships through technology. So everything you stand for, I salute you, my friend, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
I think there is little doubt that we're all heading towards an AI-centric world. But you know what? I don't think it's such a bad thing after all. Having spoken with Clint there, I'm convinced that his focus is using technology to build relationships and solve real problems. And I think this is something that should be celebrated rather than feared just because we watched an old movie, 10 years ago. It's also interesting how SugarCRM are honing in on an area that Salesforce are now moving away from, and that's relationships, because that should hold the key to everything, and that's where all the value lies. But what are your thoughts on Sugar's Hint relationship intelligence platform, and indeed the direction of this technology in general? I mean, is it a fine balance? Are you a little bit wary of things getting too creepy or intrusive? Or equally, do you welcome it with open arms? As always, please share your thoughts via email at techblogwriter@outlook.com or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. So a big thank you to Clint for coming on the show today. And for everyone that has contacted me or left online reviews recently, it's greatly appreciated, more than you know. But I'm afraid we're at the end of another episode. So a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.